majority. Mr. Seddon was my favorite teacher. So before I give him his plaque, I want to take a few moments and just tell you about the kind of man and teacher he was. I'm going to speak to my heart, from my own heart tonight for a few minutes about this next honoree before presenting the plaque. I've not seen him in over 20 years, but this may prove difficult because next to my own parents, he remains one of the two most significant influences in my life. And that's not an exaggeration. Room 183, East Wing. Every time I walk past it, and I mean no offense to those occupants now, to me it's still Mr. Seddon's classroom. His students learned about the Constitution, Civil War, the Great Depression, and civil rights. The Oklahoma City bombing was discussed for days, as it was for many of us, our first realization of the true evil in this world. But he was more than that. He's the reason I first thought about being a lawyer. And with the exception of my mother, he was the only one who thought I could do it back then. He was the person I went to after a devastating death in my own family. He was the person I turned to when I had my first broken heart. When I was sick and couldn't get home, he spent his whole prep making sure I was okay. All these times he gave up his own time. I didn't know back then it was contractually bargained for, those prep periods. Which makes it even more significant for me to say. And like so many here with our Hackensack family dynamic, my father was a colleague, my mother was a former student, my stepfather a former player. So at home, there was no winning any argument when it was me versus Mr. Seddon. I could have had an army of 1,000 and still would lose that fight, and deservedly so. The word gentleman never described anyone better. I pulled out my yearbook last night to remind myself what his words of wisdom were to me. But it wasn't what he wrote to me, which remains quite meaningful, that left an impression on me for tonight. I was reminded what my graduating class, the class of 1995, wrote about him. I had forgotten that we dedicated our yearbook to him that year. Our inscription to him says why, and symbolizes why, he is honored here this evening. Quote, he gave everyone a chance to succeed. He offers lots of encouragement when our spirits are low and our sights are dim. He was always willing to give us a second chance. And in my case, a third chance, a fourth chance, and a fifth chance. Now, I do not only get to speak for myself this evening, but I get to speak for the entire Hackensack education community, past and present. Mr. Seddon, you can come up now. Your presence is still felt. Like every fortunate student that had a desk in your classroom, or any athlete who took the baseball field for you. I know I'm only one of many, but tonight I have the honor to speak for all of us when I simply say, we thank you and we love you.